Now this is the fly I'm going to be tying. It's just a Mallard quill, if you want to call it. There's quite a few fibres in this. This is a pattern I've tied first thing, I think many years. I tied it probably 20 odd years ago. It was the first time I tied it. It was for a friend in Ireland I was tying them for, and I've used it. I've put a couple of extra myself. It's quite sparse. It's a fly you keep quite sparse. I've used it in the river and it works a treat. And if you used it as a wet fly, so you could either use it on the lochs or on the river. Now I tied this originally for Loch Corrib, so, but as I say, it'll fish in most lochs. And the Mallard wing is a very popular wing in Ireland. Whether it be normally I would be putting a blue wing on this, in this sort of colours, but the bronze Mallard, it's definitely worked. So I'm going to show you how to tie it. Reasonably simple. So hook, normally I would tie about 12 is the most popular size, but that I tied, but 12s, 14s, even a 10 would be fine. So anyway, thread, I'm using an olive dun in this case. This is a Uni 80. Now wax the thread, so I'm just going to run the thread down. Get a nice base of thread down to tie onto it, to basically align with the barb of the hook. Now this is dyed golden olive bronze mallard that I've got. Now if you haven't got that, just use normal bronze mallard. Now I'm using, on the bronze mallard you'll see obviously the bronze side, but there's this grey side, and I use these for the tail fibres. You could use Hackle fibres if you haven't got them, so don't be shy with it. Length, round about the length of the hook. Just catch that on the top. You can come underneath it slightly to open the fibres and then do a turn on top. Nice and sparse, a nice light. Now trim that the length of the body, which is there. Now I'm going to basically strip. I've got the same dyed, it's a golden olive herald, so I'll show you how to strip it. Now the herald I'm going to be stripping is actually the herald, not the eye feather, but most times you would be using that for the quills. So you would, these are the best fibres, or the best quills to use for a body if you want a lighter or a better colour. But to get I want the dark colour, so I'm using the fibres from further down the feather. Now it's really easy to remove the herald. Obviously tear it away from the stem of the feather, and you're actually going against the fibre, which is working like you're pushing against it towards the thicker part of the quill. So all I do is put my finger on it. I use a standard eraser, just a normal eraser, and then we rub, in this case away from me, and you'll see there's the herald. And I just rub that on my leg to clean it. And then again, and you turn it round about, so you need to do both sides. Both the edges anyway, but you don't need to do it all. You only need to do the area down the base, enough to form you could probably get 2 flies, and that's a quill stripped. So it's easy as that. And I usually sit down and I do half a dozen or so at a time, and it's not hard to do this. Just clean the rubber. Always clean the rubber. It makes it easier. It just gets too smooth. See, I rub it on my leg. It's the easiest way to remove it. You could rub it on a cloth or something that's sitting on your desk. It's up to you. And there we are. That's another quill done. Now we've got our quill ready stripped. Just making sure that all the fibres are off. I'm going to catch this the length of the body. There's plenty of quill there. I'm just going to run up. If you want a slightly thicker body, you can build it up slightly with the thread turns. I'll show you how to do that. You just come down about 2/3 of the way and go back up, and that'll give you a slightly thicker body if you want that. Or you can keep it quite slim, so it's up to you. You've got wax on my thread. Now I'm going to wind over. You can either wind over some varnish, like in this case I'm using varnish. A nice light coat of varnish, which will hold the quill. or you could use super glue, or you could just wind it up and then coat it with a resin just to protect it. You wind up and you see a nice marked quill there, even though it's from further down, but it's just a nice colour. Obviously secure it in, trim away. It's fine. There's one wee fibre at the back there, but you could take it away. There you go, that's it. Now for the hackle, you could use just a normal partridge hackle, brown partridge, or again, this is dyed, so a golden olive, just a light golden olive that I use. And that's the feathers from just off the head. It's quite long in fibre, but I like them. They're quite leggy, light fibre. And I like using these up. So, and you clip it with the tip of I use the hackle pliers to grab the tip. You trim it to leave enough to catch in. 2, 3, 4, 5 turns or so. Just looking at the length of the fibre there, it's not too bad. There's a couple I would take away. I mean, it's a reasonably sparse fly. Now you don't need to put a wing on this fly, it would work without a wing. So it would be like a spider or a soft hackle fly. Maybe just nice and tight, just wind round. I'm using the hackle pliers to wind on the hackle plier, the hackle, sorry. You could easily use your fingers, that's what I'm trying to say. Just follow up, there you go. Come down, make sure it's secure. Let me fold it back because it's a nice thin stem. Ready for the wing. You put a nice herald head on that. If you were tying this just without the wing, nice herald head on it would give a nice nymph effect. Now, as I say, the wing, what I've got here, this is what these feathers are. These are obviously bronze mallard feathers, but what they are, they're not the best marked feathers. And I used, they're bronze mallard, off the same area, but just as I say, they don't have the best mark. And I usually, like this, I dye them to get and use them up, and they make great wings. So, but I do the right and the lefts, and when I'm dyeing them, I bunch them together, as you can see, with thread, and then they're easy to see, separate. So I'm going to get a couple of feathers out. Now you can, in there's light and there's dark ones. So if you want a dark wing, then obviously, here's one here, it's quite nice, it's got a nice mark on it. If I can pull it out, there we are. So it's got a nice mark on it. I need the other side. Again, here's a nice wee feather. It's got a nice colour, got a nice mark on it. So all I'm going to do is pull off one, just bring it out, tear it away and form the left side, and then do the other side. And all I'm going to do is lay it on top of one another. So basically there's the one, that's one side. Just going to sit it on the other. Now what you've got is fibres coming into one another, but they mix well. So it sits well, so you've got the width of your wing doubled up. You want it just to the back of the hook. It's not going to give you a perfect wing. It's going to give you a good impression of a wing anyway. Just pinch and loop it onto the hook. See how it's set? That's fine, I'm happy with that. Trim away the waste. Now, what I like to do with these flies is, when I've trimmed them, is to bring the thread to the eye and then work from the eye up. Just basically building the thread up, like using it as a step to push up the thread turns and tidy the head. And get a nice shape in the head, don't be shy with it. And then we can whip finish. And there we are, it's just a simple wee olive pattern. Using the bronze mallard. You see, quill body. I'm just answering questions and at the same time, because people ask me how I strip. the quills if I don't use bleach, so that's how I do it, as well as obviously the bronze mallard, how to use up the waste mainly, the kind of, not the the best marked. It's not every bronze mallard feather you get is really well marked, so but I love to dye them. I always put them separate. So anyway, I'm going to just varnish the head all the way around. There we go. Now, there's these more, like, just to give you an idea, this is a cinnamon. These are a wee bit better, it's a better feather, but though it wasn't well marked. But dyeing them cinnamon gives you a nice, you can use them up, you see, got a full pack, I don't know if you can see that too well. But it's a great way of using these feathers up. I've got a lot of other, I've even got orange, I've got, you name it, I've got a few colours. So anyway, there we are. That's where it's a mallard quill, if you want to call it. I don't really have a name for it, but it's a good wee pattern. It catches fish, you see they're well marked. It's good in the river as much as it is in the loch, so certainly worth tying. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and again, thank you for watching, and until next time.